It breaks my heart. I am so proud of the girls. There are a handful of girls now who are suing their state's attorney general and the high school sports governing body that has allowed this to happen because of their discriminatory policies that exclude women from the women's category. Cannot believe this is happening.
Yeah, I have never seen an organization more committed to self-imploding than the WNBA. A few weeks ago, I made this video highlighting how it appears Brittney Griner said bleep white girl after fouling out in a game against Indiana Fever, the team that Caitlin Clark plays for. Some people like Jamel Hill, former ESPN host, says that no, she didn't say bleep white girl. She says bleep whack call, to which she then went on to call me a grifter for even pointing this out, but besides the point. You can watch and make up your own mind as to what it appears.
The Women's National Basketball Association is currently a blazing inferno, but it's not the kind of heat they were hoping for. Just when the league was basking in the glow of newfound popularity, a single caught-on-camera moment, amplified by a relentless voice for fairness, has threatened to burn down the entire facade. What truly unfolded, and why is the WNBA now scrambling to control a narrative that's spiraling wildly out of control? It all began with a Flashpoint incident, a remark allegedly uttered by Phoenix Mercury star Brittney Griner, seemingly aimed at the WNBA's golden goose Caitlin Clark after fouling out in a tense game. The words, lip-read by countless viewers, appeared to be trash, followed by a derogatory reference to Clark as a white girl. Instantly, the internet ignited. Some, like former ESPN personality Jamel Hill, rushed to Griner's defense, suggesting she actually said bleep whack call, a critique of the referee rather than a racial jab at Clark. But for many, the visual evidence, coupled with the context of the game and Griner's demeanor, told a far more unsettling story, setting the stage for a controversy that would expose deep fault lines within the league.
Fox News, I ain't never seen this lady a day in my life. Why'd y'all hire this woman?
The USA basketball chair actually said it would be irresponsible to put Caitlin Clark on the U.S. women's Olympic basketball team, all while putting Brittney Griner on the team. I think with the extreme controversy that she brings.
Let me jump in, Riley, because you say it a lot there. I'm not sure what you mean by the controversy that Brittney Griner brings to the game. I mean, that's kind of not fair to say without explanation.
Well, I mean, I think given everything that happened overseas, given that she was put in jail, I mean, the controversy is certainly there, whether we want it there or not.
Not her fault and wrongly accused. Let's be fair. That's Riley. I like you a lot too. That's not right. She was wrongfully accused. That is not fair to bring that up. So we're gonna delete that. Okay, let's you and I continue.
She literally tried to tell Riley Gaines that Brittney Griner was unlawfully detained. What are you saying? Fox, get this lady off y'all show.
But the silence from the league was deafening until one particularly powerful voice decided to cut through the noise. A voice the WNBA likely wished would stay silent. Riley Gaines, the decorated former collegiate swimmer known for her fearless stance on fairness in women's sports after her own challenging experiences competing against biological male Leah Thomas, stepped directly into this basketball firestorm. Gaines isn't just an athlete, she's become a symbol of courage for speaking uncomfortable truths, even when it means facing down intense criticism and media backlash. Her background gives her a unique moral authority, particularly when it comes to issues of equity and integrity in sports. So when she witnessed the Griner incident and the WNBA's subsequent handling, or mishandling of it, she didn't hesitate. Gaines unleashed a barrage of pointed criticism, questioning not only Griner's alleged comments, but also the league's conspicuous silence and what she perceived as a blatant attempt to sweep a serious issue under the rug, especially when contrasted with their actions on other matters. And what happened next would only amplify her concerns.
Thursday night, Indiana Fever and Atlanta Dream played. Indiana Fever is where Caitlin Clark plays. Atlanta Dream is where Brittney Griner plays. Now you tell me what it looks like Brittney Griner is saying here. For a little bit of context, this was in the fourth quarter after Brittney Griner fouled out against Caitlin Clark and Indiana Fever would go on to win by 5. Now I'm gonna tell you what I think she said. Let's play it back. Looks to me like she is saying trash and then calling Caitlin Clark a bleep white girl. Just a reminder, this is who Joe Biden traded for the Russian merchant of death. So many WNBA players hate Caitlin Clark so much when she is the best thing that could have happened to the league. And she's not the best thing that happened to the league because she's white It's because she's a good player. It's because she's the best player. Now, imagine if Caitlin Clark said the inverse of this. It would be reprehensible, condemned, and understandably so. You've got all of these individual players. You have sports commentators, people like Ryan Clark, who constantly tout of the racial tensions that exist in the league, when in reality, they are the ones perpetuating and amplifying these racial tensions with their anti-white hatred for Caitlin Clark.
The WNBA's subsequent actions, or inactions, began to paint a perplexing picture of its priorities, leading to widespread accusations of glaring double standards. It came to light that the league had previously mobilized its resources to investigate claims made against Caitlin Clark's fans. These allegations, notably pushed by Angel Reese, suggested racial heckling from the stands. The WNBA launched an inquiry, made statements, and took the matter seriously, only for the investigation to reportedly find no evidence to support Reese's claims. This swift and public response to protect one narrative stood in stark contrast to the league's approach regarding the very visible, very audible Brittney Griner incident. Despite video evidence circulating widely showing Griner's controversial utterance, there was no comparable public statement, no announced investigation, no apparent urgency from the league office. This disparity was not lost on observers, especially Riley Gaines. It fueled a growing perception that the WNBA was operating with a different set of rules depending on who was involved, and that its biggest star, Caitlin Clark, the very person bringing unprecedented attention and revenue to the league, was not receiving the same level of institutional protection. This apparent hypocrisy became a central pillar of the unfolding drama, making many question if the league was more interested in managing appearances than upholding fairness.
Answered what Griner says, there is one way to find out. Ask Brittney Griner. However, no one has done that except for Outkick. It's been over 2 weeks since Griner said this. Instead, the WNBA was investigating a bogus race hoax made up by Angel Reese about Indiana Fever fans. And I say bogus because they found no evidence that supports Angel Reese's claims. So we at Outkick applied for media credentials to cover Brittney Griner's team, the Atlanta Dreams, game on June 6th. To which, shocker, they denied us. We've never had trouble getting media credentials with any professional sports league in the past, but wouldn't you know, now they suddenly have very limited space, which is total baloney. They just want to suppress any sort of uncomfortable inquiries from media. Regardless, we at Outkick are going to keep asking the tough questions, the questions that people want the answer to. And if you do call yourself a reporter or a journalist from an outlet like ESPN or any other sports outlet for that matter, and you have access to these settings and you're not asking those questions, you're really no reporter or journalist at all, at least not one with.
As questions swirled and the WNBA remained tight-lipped about the Griner footage, at least one media outlet, Outkick, decided to pursue the truth directly. They sought to ask Brittney Griner herself about the alleged comments during a Phoenix Mercury game on June 6th, applying for media credentials like any other news organization would. Their request, however, was shockingly denied. The WNBA or the team cited very limited space, an excuse that many found utterly implausible for a professional sports league that typically thrives on media coverage. This denial was seen by critics as a blatant attempt to suppress uncomfortable inquiries, to shield Griner from accountability, and to control the narrative by preventing direct journalistic engagement. Riley Gaines immediately seized on this development, highlighting it as further proof of the WNBA's gatekeeping and lack of transparency. If there was nothing to hide, why block legitimate media access? Why not allow Griner the opportunity to clarify her words if they were indeed misinterpreted? The league's actions only deepened suspicions and lent credence to the idea that they were more concerned with damage control than with truth, creating an environment where speculation and outrage could fester unchecked. The WNBA was essentially trying to put a lid on a boiling pot, but the pressure was only building.
Good morning, Brittney. I'm Bill Roden from ESPN and Skate, and it's really great to see you. It's good to know the prayers have been answered. The question, you've always represented so much throughout your entire career about access and, being able to do stuff. And I hate to put one more thing on your plate, but there are a number of states who are aggressively moving to prevent transgender athletes playing. And I was wondering, again, I hate to put one more thing on your plate, but in terms of on your radar, where is that? You're going to have a tremendous platform, but where is that going to be on your radar in terms of advocating for, athletes, all athletes, transgender athletes, to be able to play?
Oh, I mean that ranks high on the list of things that I'll be fighting for and speaking up against. You know, everyone deserves the right to play. Everyone deserves the right to come here, sit in these seats, and feel safe and not feel like there's a threat or they can't be who they are or like it's just all eyes on them. I think it's a crime, honestly, to separate someone for any reason. So I definitely will be speaking up against that legislation and those laws that are trying to be passed for sure.
Adding significant fuel to this already raging fire is Brittney Griner's own complicated and often controversial past, which provides a volatile backdrop to the current situation. Many remember her 9-month detention in Russia in 2022 after vape cartridges containing cannabis oil were found in her luggage, a substance illegal in Russia. Her subsequent release in a high-stakes prisoner exchange for Victor Bout, the notorious international arms dealer dubbed the Merchant of Death, sparked considerable debate and criticism in the United States. Some questioned the parity of the trade and the message it sent. Beyond this, Griner has also been a polarizing figure due to her activism. She has been vocal in her support for transgender athletes competing in sports according to their gender identity, a stance that puts her at odds with figures like Riley Gaines. Furthermore, her decision to kneel or remain in the locker room during the national anthem in protest of social injustice has also drawn both praise and sharp condemnation. This history means Griner entered the Caitlin Clark comment controversy already a divisive figure, making the WNBA's perceived protection of her all the more contentious for a significant portion of the public and media who see a pattern of behavior they find objectionable repaid in their eyes with preferential treatment.
A lot of people are talking about the Olympics, but not for the right reasons. So let me shed some light into a story that not too many people are talking about. I'm sure a majority of you know who Riley Gaines is and who is Brittney Griner. So Riley Gaines laid into Brittney Griner for kneeling during the national anthem. You don't have to sing or anything, but you need to show some respect for the country that saved you from a Russian gulag. True. If y'all forgot, Brittney Griner was a 32-year-old that was arrested in Moscow on February 17, accused of entering Russia with a vape cartridge containing cannabis oil, which is illegal in Russia. She was sentenced to 9 years in Russian labor. Obviously, this was a whole political thing. This was immediately after Russia invaded Ukraine. However, America fought for her and got her back in a one-on-one exchange with another prisoner. But that prisoner is one of the biggest arms dealers ever, Victor Bout. So you bring something illegal to a country, that country arrests you, and then America does everything to try and get you back here just for you to kneel during the national anthem?
Looming over this entire saga is the undeniable phenomenon known as the Caitlin Clark effect. Clark's arrival in the WNBA has been nothing short of revolutionary for the league. She has shattered viewership records, driven ticket sales to unprecedented highs, and filled arenas across the country. Her games are national television events, drawing millions of new fans to women's basketball, many of whom had never watched a WNBA game before. She's generated more positive media attention and mainstream buzz for the sport than arguably any player in its history. Logically, one would expect the league to roll out the red carpet, protect its most valuable asset fiercely, and build its entire marketing strategy around her. Yet, the narrative that has emerged is far more complex and troubling. Instead of universal celebration, there have been persistent whispers and overt displays of what many interpret as resentment and overly aggressive play directed at Clark from some veteran players. More critically, the league itself has been accused of being hesitant, almost reluctant, to fully embrace and shield its brightest star, as evidenced by its handling of incidents like the Griner comment versus the fan allegations. This apparent internal conflict and failure to robustly capitalize on a generational talent is seen by many as a colossal missed opportunity, a sign that the WNBA might be more concerned with internal politics or appeasing established figures than with its own explosive growth potential. It was this perplexing pattern of behavior from the league that led Riley Gaines to deliver her most devastating assessment, a quote that quickly went viral and perfectly encapsulated the frustrations of many onlookers. "I've never seen an organization more committed to self-imploding than the WNBA." This wasn't just a pithy insult, it struck at the heart of what many perceive as the league's bafflingly self-destructive tendencies. Why, critics ask, would a league seemingly work against its own best interests? Why would it appear to prioritize shielding certain players or narratives over basic fairness, transparency, and the protection of its biggest draw? Gaines' statement resonated because it articulated a growing sentiment that the WNBA, handed a golden opportunity with Caitlin Clark, was fumbling it spectacularly. She pointed out the profound hypocrisy of a league that champions causes like social justice and equality, yet seems to struggle with applying consistent standards of conduct and accountability within its own ranks. The WNBA's selective outrage, its willingness to investigate unsubstantiated claims against fans while appearing to ignore video evidence involving one of its own players, and its attempts to silence media inquiries, all contribute to this image of an organization fundamentally at odds with itself, seemingly more focused on internal orthodoxies than on sustainable growth and public trust. The WNBA now stands at a critical crossroads. The echoes of Brittney Griner's alleged comment and Riley Gaines' fierce condemnations reverberating throughout the sports world. The core issues are clear. A star player caught in a moment of controversy, a league accused of blatant double standards and a lack of transparency, and an advocate in Riley Gaines who refuses to let these inconsistencies slide. The WNBA's handling of this entire affair, from the initial incident to the denial of media access to Outkick, to its perceived coddling of Griner while simultaneously investigating flimsy claims related to Caitlin Clark, has severely damaged its credibility in the eyes of many new and old fans alike. Will the league choose to acknowledge the validity of these criticisms and take meaningful steps towards fairness, consistent accountability, and open communication? Or will it double down, dismiss the concerns as unwarranted attacks, and continue down a path that many, including Riley Gaines, see as one of organizational self-destruction? The future vibrancy and integrity of the WNBA may very well hinge on its response. One thing is certain, thanks to the spotlight Riley Gaines has unflinchingly shown, the league can no longer operate in the shadows. The world is watching and wondering if the WNBA is truly ready to play by its own professed rules, or if it will confirm the fears of those who believe it's more committed to an agenda than to the game itself. What do you think the league should do next?